could start the meeting. Welcome to everyone, and welcome especially to Mr. Simola, who is our independent member on this committee. Moving to part one of the agenda, public business, the evacuation procedure. I'm not going to read it all out, except that if we're not expecting the fire bell to ring, so if it does, please exit by the front doors and meet over at the Yorkshire buildings. Apologies, Zahida. I have apologies from Lydia Dawn and Gina Daffin. Any further apologies?
Just apologies from Phil Richardson.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. As you know, Phil Richardson is the person who leads this committee, but he has had notice this morning of a sudden death in his family, so has had to leave to, obviously, to be with the rest of his family. Minutes, to confirm the minutes of the Audit and Standards Committee held on the 24th of July. Everyone agreed that they are on true and correct record?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Declarations of interest. We have the list of declarations of interest. Does anyone have any other declarations of interest they wish to tell us about before we start the meeting? Okay, thank you. Public consultation, I understand, Wendy, we've had no requests from members of the public to speak. Okay, thank you. Then could we move on to agenda item 6, which is the request for a review of sanctions. Wahida, do you want to present the review?
Yes, thank you. Chair, just to briefly summarise the report, a request has been received from Councillor Condacall to review sanctions that have been imposed on him following 3 complaints in which were referred to the Standards Committee and in which sanctions were imposed, restricting his access to officers. You will see that on page 14, the request is to review the sanctions to allow him limited direct contact with officers. As the report states, the matter would have to be, you could make a recommendation for that to go back to full council should you see fit today.
Okay.
Unless there's anything further that I can assist you with, the details of the sanctions are referred to in the report before you.
Okay. Anyone wish to comment? Councillor Sergeant.
All right. It says that he was asked to apologise as well. Has that actually happened? Or
No. If you look at...
is that in there? Is it?
yeah,
It is, yes.
Yeah, if you look at 4.2, it talks about the sanctions that were imposed on Councillor Condacall February 15, March 15 and 1/16. All 3 of those sanctions have not been carried out or have been refused. So that's the situation we have at the moment.
Thank you, Chair. It seems to me that whilst the sanctions that are in place are inconvenient for him to some degree, it doesn't make his life as a councillor any less impossible to deal with. He's not apologised, he's not done what he was asked to do, therefore I don't see any reason to review and reduce the sanctions.
Are you moving that as a proposal?
I can move that if you wish.
I'll second that proposal. Everyone, can I see a show of hands, please? All those in favour of
It
the
just stays the same, yeah. It just stays the same as it is.
Yes, stays the same as it is. Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you. So we move to agenda item 7, which is the standards section of the Audit and Standards Committee. As you know, we now have 2 different effectively two different committees, one of audit and standards. This is the annual report of the standards section of the audit and standards committee.
Chair, the report is attached to Appendix A. It basically summarises the work of the committee so far that has been carried out this year in 2017-18, and it also sets out a work programme for 2018-19, which includes a review of the standards training programme, the annual registration of interests, hospitality and gifts by members and officers, annual reporting to the Ombudsman, and reporting on members' complaints on a 6-monthly basis, as well as a review of the procedures and the codes of conduct. Chair, that the report is as stated therein and for your approval today.
Are there any comments on the report? Can I move the report then as printed? Is that seconded? Seconded. Thank you. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Agenda item 8, which is the Treasury Management Monitoring. Craig, do you want to present the report?
Thank you very much, Chair. This is the first monitoring report for 2018-19. It's certainly been an interesting first quarter of the financial year. Section 3 of the report is the economic summary, which is, albeit very brief, with the big issue facing the economy at the moment being the uncertainty regarding Brexit and the slowdown or even stalling of negotiations, which does cause some uncertainty in the markets. Section 4 does show the updated interest rate forecast, which, following the increase in bank rates in August, has been reviewed by Link Asset Services, our advisors, and it does mirror the MPC forecast, although it does differ slightly from what the markets are expecting. They're predicting now that the next increase will be in September 2019, which is a prudent approach, increasing to 1.5 at the end of March 2021. The table in 5.4 on page 25 of your agenda does show that our investment balances have increased by £10 million from the end of March to the end of June. That's not unusual, that is in line with our cash flow forecasts, but you can also see that the interest rates have increased quite significantly since the end of March, as you know, the markets are now pricing in increases and the bank rate increases impacted on the markets. So it's giving good news for our investment portfolio. Moving on to 5.17 on page 28, that shows our average balances and returns, and again you can see that those increased returns are showing on the year-to-date position as well. What I would like to draw to your attention regarding the property fund, 5.18 onwards, is that we have taken the decision to invest an additional £1 million in that fund, taking our total investment in the property fund to £2 million. This is after a significant review of our cash flow forecasts for the medium to long term. We've got that cash available, so while interest rates on the general markets are relatively low, we thought it beneficial to lock in an additional £1 million, getting approximately 4% return on that as another long-term investment. The section on page 31 shows our detailed investment activity for the first quarter, which has been quite busy in light of the cash flow monies coming through, which our team needs to invest. However, a key part of treasury management is managing the debt portfolio as well. 5.29 shows that we're predicted to be about £8 million under borrowed this financial year. It sounds like a lot, but that is in line with effective treasury management. It's the most cost-effective route at the moment, but we will keep it under constant review, so we're not leaving ourselves exposed to any financial pressures going forward. Going back to the interest rate forecast, as we've said, it's improved. That has impacted on investment returns, and so we are predicting that investment income will be above budget for this financial year, which does ease pressures on the general fund and the HRA, which is also under significant financial pressures. And finally, section 6 is the updated prudential and treasury indicators, and there's only one exception to bring to your attention, and that's the estimated capital expenditure, which is significantly higher from the approved indicator, and that is due to the amount of capital slippage in the programme from previous financial years, and will be updated as part of the mid-year review. So if anybody does have any questions specifically on this, I'm quite happy to take them.
Anyone have any questions?
Chair, Greg, I mean, would it be a correct interpretation that basically our reserves have increased?
Not necessarily reserves, this is cash flow. So as people say, some people will pay their council tax up front for the whole financial year, some businesses will pay their business rates for the whole financial year. So essentially this is cash flow money. To look at levels of reserves, you need to have a look at the actual statement of accounts, which shows how, where you've got cash available to spend, that is, your general fund balances and your HRA balances. These investments are made up from those plus cash flow.
Right, so it doesn't make any more funds available for expenditure?
No, not at all.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Right. Could I just draw your attention back to page 25, 5.4? Right. In the 3 months, our net borrowing has gone down, our net debts has gone down by 2,504.
Which part are you looking at? 5.4 table, yeah?
Yeah, that's right, the last one. I mean, the indebtedness has gone down now by about 10,000.
The net debt has dropped
Net
by...
debt.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Now, could you just again now reconcile that with what you are saying in 5.12 and 5.13 on page 27?
This is about the debt. So the net debt is our investments less our debt.
Yeah.
So effectively we've got a net debt of 38 million. The options to reschedule, you're talking about the options to reschedule
That's right.
debt or repaying.
Yeah.
If we were to reschedule debt,
Yeah.
so in other words that means paying debt off early,
Yeah.
it would incur a premium. At the moment it's not cost effective because some of, for example, a £2 million loan, if we were to repay it early, could incur almost a £1 million premium charge, which just does not make it cost effective. So we do review the debt portfolio on a regular basis as well with our advisors to see, is it worth repaying debt early or rescheduling it so we can push some debt out longer. But because of the charges in actually paying debt off early, it doesn't give us any financial benefit. So we'll maintain the debt portfolio as is, and just repaying it as and when they naturally mature.
Any further?
Chair, thank you. Craig, as ever, excellent report, all the detail we could want, broken down in a consistent way. Thanks for delivering this. It looks like you guys continue to take advantage of the very small movements that there are, unfortunately, in markets both ways. The under-borrowed bit, I mean, clearly there's nothing imminent on the horizon that we could put that money to work on that would, invest to save or anything like that. And it doesn't look like our cost of borrowing is going to change anytime soon. If that, because of Brexit and things moving very fast after that, if it's a hard Brexit as they call it, that was to change, is there any mechanism where you could come back to this or the full council and explain actually some of the assumptions councillors may have been working under about the cost of borrowing are likely to change in the future, so if you were going to borrow sooner rather than later, is there something that would trigger you to do that in your department?
We do have, with Link as well, we work quite closely with them, our advisors, and what they do, they track the market and the gilt yields, and borrowing is actually linked to the UK gilt.
Right.
So they will look at the forecast of that, and they do actually issue a target rate for borrowing to say, if it goes above a certain point, now's the time to jump in.
Right.
They will review the forecast, which is on 4.1 on a regular basis, if there are any knee-jerk reactions to the markets or anything that's happening with Brexit, to say, this is where we see PWLB rates going.
Yeah.
If we then think that the rates are going to jump up quite quickly, then it does put us in a risk position where borrowing costs could increase quite significantly and expose ourselves to financial risks in the future. It may be a point at that time that I say, let's go and borrow, reduce that under-borrowed position.
Right. And how will you flag that up to councillors that we've reached that point?
We will bring it in with this report and also put it in with the annual Treasury report and the mid-year review to full council
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for that and the explanations. Right. Can I move then that we note the report? Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Right, we then move to item 9 of the report, which is the exclusion of the public and press. I understand it is a good idea to read it out, so I will. Resolved as under section 100A, bracket 4 of the Local Government Act 1972, the public and press be excluded from the meeting during consideration of the following items. It being likely that there would be disclosure of exempt information of the description specified in paragraph 1 of part 1 of schedule 12A to the Act. So we move then to switch the recording machine off first.